Okay, and we are back rolling live here for our two-day coverage of the JOLT conference in Music City, Nashville, Tennessee. What a great conference, great energy. And up next, and I've been really looking forward to this conversation, we have Cheryl Nash, who is the president of APL InvestCloud. Did I miss something?
Right, yes.
Okay, very
Yes.
good. All right, well, I know the last time we kind of saw each other was at a Tiburon conference, so it's
Yes.
great to be back in touch with you
As
and do a
well,
little bit of
you
a
as
deeper
well.
dive. So we're going to talk about a few things. Let's kind of start off why you're probably here. You're fairly new to the board of Snappy Kraken.
I am.
How did that take place?
Yeah, so I just got announced today that I've joined the board of Snappy Kraken. So I've been working with Robert and his team, really focused on helping them think about growing their business. Right? I love what they're doing. I love the fact that they're focused on advisors. I love the fact that they're looking at how to help with organic growth, which is a huge, huge problem in our industry. And I think their solution is like right in the middle of all that. So, and I think Robert is great driving innovation. I just listened to him and you speak earlier.
Yep,
He
you
talked a
kicked
lot
us
about
off.
AI, which I thought was, where the industry's going around, artificial intelligence and how that can drive advisors to be better at their jobs, right? And not replace, but be better, which I think is so important.
And take away all the tasks that we don't want to do.
Right. Like all that manual. I think advisors' job today needs to be very relationship oriented, right? And they need to be out in front of their clients. I mean, you even talked about the advisors getting closer to the kids of their
KOC.
I love that. Yes.
I love acronyms. What can I tell you?
Well, you nailed that one.
Yeah, thank you.
But KOC, like that, Snappy Kraken's platform actually enables that.
Yep.
So I just love it. So I'm very excited to be on the board. It's part of, I've been in fintech my entire career. So I've loved to help solve problems, big problems. And I think Robert's onto something big.
Fantastic. Okay, so we're going to do a little pivot to alternative investments because
Yes.
that's honestly top of mind for me. So as the audience knows, and you now know, I'm not a reporter, right? I happen to be an advisor that's really curious, loves coming to conferences, and I love the opportunity to speak with thought leaders like yourself. So at our shop, which is Sovereign Financial, we just launched like last week the Align Alternative Access Fund, which is a full-on 40 Act registered investment company tender offer fund, and we're super excited about it. And I'm a big believer in the whole democratization of alts, but in a smart way, right? I do believe there's such a thing as over-democratization, at least when it comes to alts, and not. But what you were talking about with me earlier was fascinating with your platform. So tell us about that, because I think it's really cool.
Sure. So I'd love to. So I've been spending probably the last 6 months really learning and driving and focusing on what a private markets account could be, what it should be, to your point, right? Not trying to over-engineer or try to put something in the hands of these advisors or investors that doesn't make sense. So very focused on helping drive alternative investments into the retail space in a smart way. We think about our platform as a platform that really enables a smarter financial future. And when you think about alts and you think about just where we are today in the markets around instability, the investors are nervous, right? And I think when you think about the 60-40 asset allocation, equities and fixed income, that doesn't do well with uncertainty. So we believe this is the right time to launch private markets. And what we're doing...
Well, that's good news.
Good for you. Perfect timing. You said a week ago?
I would hate to hear otherwise after all this work.
So that's great.
Yeah.
So one of the things that we're doing is we are really thinking about how do you take the alts platform and how do you enable it so that it can be driven by models, right? Because right now there's a lot of sophisticated advisors who are selling alts into institutional investors. And these investors are also very sophisticated. So when you think about driving this down, you have to make it easy. So we say we like to simplify the complexity. So you have to make it easy. You have to make sure that you can educate appropriately. You put them in the right securities so there's not illiquid securities that they, one day say, I need to go buy a house and they can't get out of. Right? So there's so much
And you're seeing that, unfortunately.
Yes. So there's so much thought going into this, but we are actually building a platform that will enable an alternative investment to sit into a separately managed account, a unified managed account, and a rep is PM account. So really bringing it down to the managed account industry, which is really exciting.
That really is exciting.
Yes.
And I think perhaps if you're cool with this, we'd love to have you come on to do a full-on podcast.
I would love that, yeah.
Because I think we need to do a deep dive into this. But let's give the audience a taste. So one of the questions I was asking offline, but let's ask it now. Because we all know Case, we all know iCapital. How are you guys different?
Yeah, so that's a great question. So Case and iCapital have done a great job building a platform that supports that complex alt, right? They are very focused on and have been working very well with the non-discretionary assets, where it's one trade at a time. Where I think, which is, they've got all the processes down around subdocs and all the data that you need, so they've done a great job. So we'll need to partner with firms like them, because when we go to the more complex securities, we'll want to leverage what they've built around subdocs and all that. But when you think about where we want to take this into more of the discretionary, fee-based world, right? You need to be able to trade a model hundreds of thousands of accounts at once. You can't do the one-offs.
With relative ease, if possible.
That's right, and very little NIGOs, right? That's like the whole NIGO.
Not in good order, as we all knew.
That is the biggest problem, right?
Yeah.
So I think starting, like you said, you started with the fund. Like, we're starting to see a lot of firms look at interval funds as a starting point, which I think is smart, right? When you think about how do you introduce this, how do you get an advisor? The advisor has to be comfortable selling this, and there's a lot that goes into it. There's documents that have to get signed. All these things that are
know
around.
Your client rules. What is it?
KYC.
KYC. Yeah. Know your clients. The anti-money laundering. There's a lot of process involved.
Right. So in bringing that to the managed account industry, which is millions of accounts. So sitting on our platform today, we've got over 10 million accounts. So if we wanted to have each of them have an alt in it, we have to make this simple, right? We have to take out some of that complexity that sits today surrounding PMAs.
And what verb tense are you using here? Like, you're going to make this simple, or you have made this simple? Like, is this working right now?
So we do have one client live on the first entree of this, which is really just holding an alt and a UMA. In the fall, we'll be launching our rebalancing capability. And we'll have rebalancing with public and privates in the same model.
That almost seems like it'd be impossible to do. I mean, and again, we'll do a podcast, because I want to dive deep on this, because I'm trying to understand the logistics of how that could even work. But let me just make sure I and the audience understands what this is. So this means you could have a model that has, ETFs, your SPYs and your whatevers, and side by side in that same portfolio, that same UMA, you have an alternative fund.
That's right.
Interval funds, tender offer funds, all that stuff?
All that stuff, yeah.
Really?
Yes.
And then when the model changes, that will execute a redemption and or purchase?
If they need to, right? So the system is smart enough to know the rules around those different funds, and also knows when to protect it. So not to use it as part of the rebalance, right? Because maybe you can't touch the cash, or maybe you can't touch that alt just yet.
I see.
Right? So the system is smart enough, we call it a protected sleeve. So it knows when to protect it and knows when it can actually leverage it across the total rebal.
That is really,
so
really
fun.
fascinating. I know. It's kind of embarrassing how excited I get about stuff like this, but it really is such an innovation.
Yeah.
And, with technology, and the reason why I love technology so much is, number one, it's interesting, and I'm a curious person.
Right.
But it just makes your life a lot easier as an advisor. And we were talking about this earlier, to get the advisor back in front of the client.
Right.
That's what we're good at.
Right.
That's what we should be doing, not figuring out how to rebalance an illiquid fund.
That's right.
But fortunately, we have partners like you guys to help us do that.
Right. And I think, we've trademarked PMA. There's a lot that we're doing in this space, a lot of investment. We're also launching a network, which is signing up all the different GPs. So they come through our network to our distributors.
Yeah.
So we've got all these different distributors sitting on our platform, and we're making it easy for them to sign up with the Apollos and the other asset managers.
So cool. So who are some of the other distributors on the platform, as an example?
So Apollo is signed up as our first, but we're talking to all the ones you would think of: KKR, Ares, JP Morgan.
Well, those are the GPs. Well, what about the distributors?
Our platform supports the enterprise wealth managers.
Got it.
We're looking at how do we go down market to the RIA channel, because I think the RIAs, what I'm learning, they are already doing this for their RPA business, their rep advisor business, the non-discretionary. They're not necessarily doing it for their managed, which they want to, right? So we have our clients on our platform today are some wirehouses, some of the regional broker dealers, We've got Raymond James, Ameriprise.
I love Raymond James.
Yes.
They're one of our custodians.
Yes.
That's why I started off as a broker.
Okay, because
Got a soft spot in my heart for Ray J. I love him.
Yeah, so those are the types of clients that we have.
We're dealing with Brian Layton on that?
Okay, yeah.
How did I know?
Yes.
Yeah, he's a solid guy.
So,
All right, good. Well, that's really fantastic. So we're kind of at time here, although I don't want to be, but as long as you're cool coming back to do a full
I would love
podcast,
to.
we'll do a full-on deep dive because
Yes.
I'm telling you, you're hearing a lot about alts and for good reason. And during that, they'll give us the time to talk a little bit about, and I don't mind being a little opinionated, how I think alts should be and shouldn't be. Right?
I
Is
think
there
that'd be
is
great.
too liquid? I kind of think so.
Right.
But making the illiquid easier,
Right.
that's brilliant.
That's the challenge, right? That's what we all need to solve for.
All right.
So.
Well, Cheryl Nash, thank you so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. All
Yeah,
right?
it's great to be here with you.
It was fantastic to get to know you a little bit better.
Yes.
All right, so that's it for this segment. We have 2 more segments to go, so stand by. We'll be back in another 45 minutes with some more content. Thanks, and thanks
you.
again, Cheryl.
Thank you.